This event was the first time that any media company has attempted to construct a ranking of the 40 most influential Britons in the EU. A lot of the people in the ranking are well known, but actually even relatively kind of high up the ranking, there's a lot of people who they're not particularly well-known people, and I think that actually has triggered a really interesting debate about Britain's influence in Europe, I think, behind the headlines.
If I'd been left to myself to rank the 40, I would have ranked probably some of them in a different order. I think it's important, however, to actually focus on who really does influence policy. It is, I think, also a useful basis on which to discuss how the UK relates to the European Union.
I think the UK influence has always been very significant. I think in many cases it's much more than we've ever been given credit for. There are many of us who are directly involved in shaping EU policy, and in a way it's nice to have that recognised.
Britain plays a major role on policy making. It has the advantage of the English language being now the lingua franca of the whole of Europe. It is central to the single market. Its influence is huge.
The UK really is still very, very much at the table. Huge debates about what happens in the future. But right now, in terms of financial services policy and consumer policy, trade policy, we're right there.
It's probably fair to say that the UK is at something of a crossroads when it does need to look at what direction it wants to go in and whether it wants to be at the heart of decision making.
The UK has always been focused on the single market. So one of its challenges will be to maintain the integrity of the single market, whilst at the same time there are other parts of the European Union that are changing, which the British don't really want to be part of.
Well, what's at stake is our long-term economic future. I mean, I put it as strongly as that. We are looking, as are all European countries, to build a position in a rapidly globalising economy where some of the traditional things that we took for granted in terms of our global competitiveness, global markets are fundamentally changing.
There's no doubt that business absolutely wants to remain within a single European market. 50% of UK trade is within the single market, so you don't do anything to jeopardise that.
I don't believe that the UK has a long-term future which does not involve a major role for the UK in the European Union. The challenge is to ensure that that is a proactive influence which is based on a strong level of domestic political consent.
Europe is really keen to see the UK remain at the table. The question is whether or not the UK is going to get on with the referendum sooner rather than later. I think that's what business wants to see.
Clearly, interest in the issues that we discussed tonight, absolutely crucial issues in Britain. The UK's role in Europe, regardless of your for or against, there are really important public policy issues here that need to be discussed. In the run-up to the next election, they simply need to be discussed.
Thank you.